And then our next profile 17, is Jel Directo. She is the Vice President of the Creator and Influencer Council of the Philippines. She has been part of the digital marketing industry for 10 years, working for companies such as Hepmill Philippines, McCann World Group Philippines, and Nufnang Philippines. She led the team that launched the Hepmill Creators Network in the Philippines, where it proudly showcases top TikTok creators, and also the PGAG page that became more known for the show Giconio and their trending memes. Aside from Jill's experience in the advertising industry, she has also led digital marketing and partnerships for brands in the sports industry, such as Asia League and ASEAN Basketball League, as Director of Digital Marketing and Director of Sponsorship and Partnership in the ASEAN Basketball League, respectively. In 2016, she also created a Christian retail brand called Versus, and as well as a faith-driven emergency bag called Saved by Versus, both of which had been her anchor in ensuring that she has a healthy work and passion balance. Her weekends are spent strengthening her mental strength through tennis. She believes that a healthy and recharged mind on the weekends gives her the overflowing source of energy during the week start. Heavily driven by her passion to create and to connect and to build relationships, Jel continues to cherish every milestone in her journey to becoming a better woman in today's industry and society. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us a speech entitled The Power of Mental Reset, let's give a warm welcome to Jel Directo.
Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. So, I'd like to share something that is, I would say, very relatable to women. But most of the time, let's start with this. Most of the time, when I speak in front of people, I am most of the time made to share about my expertise. That being digital marketing, digital influencer marketing, and also, given that almost a decade, these two fields have always been my area of expertise. I've also shared knowledge in being able to marry the two worlds of main hustle and the side hustle, such as is very common today. I know a lot of like Gen Zs would be very experienced in this. I founded Versus, as mentioned earlier, a Christian retail brand that also houses Save by Versus, a faith driven emergency bag which people always find very interesting and inspiring. How someone could actually do two things at the same time in this fast paced world. Being able to maintain and pursue both was something that I was able to do. So I also know that undergraduates would love hearing my story of being able to survive and thrive in the digital advertising industry and as well maintain a business. I would always be invited by my degree program, BA Organizational Communication in the University of the Philippines, Manila, to share about these experiences. And I would often get questions from the young students today. So I realized that these area is something that they are very interested in. So through the years, I often realize that oftentimes people always talk about their achievements, current roles, and what makes us powerful. People always talks about the successful stories, the successful endings. But there on stage, where there are a lot of thousand listeners, we often speak less about the in between, what we are challenged about. So I'd like to be very relatable at this point and speak to the women in this room, online. I was online on Facebook. I see a lot of people commenting. So woman to woman, I know that we have all have had a thousand falls. But since we know the way people view and picture these things, most of the time we stay quiet and we don't talk about these things and the spirit in our life. Because when we end up being set on stage and people are looking, we try not to give people the satisfaction of having the sight of our failures. We try not to talk about it. So now, with this context set, I'd like to talk about the power of a mental reset. So, for many women who thrive in challenges, who are success seekers, success, which I know is defined differently by a lot of people, and are driven by passion, most of the time the journey is unstoppable. We don't stop even when it's hard. So in 2020 to 2022, it was a very grand year in the digital world during the pandemic because we know while a lot of the places outside are down, no one's going out, everybody was online. And while my work was thriving, I got to be promoted to be the country manager of our company. But the back end of my life, that was when I got surprised to enter into a breakup of my 2.5 year relationship, but was already prepared for marriage. It was a random day, a random Tuesday, which I did not expect. I think it's the best picture to paint so that women here could understand me best because we all have had a similar relationship. So to your left, it's a growing, continuously thriving career. And then to your right, it's a crumbling, falling relationship of what you thought was actually already the last one, you know? It would already be your walk to marriage. So, how do we really process these things? How could we even journey these cases? So, during my transition, I would like to share that I know that successful women still continue to not talk about this because we think that our personal battles are not bound to our career. We don't marry these things into one. It's not entirely part of our professional speak. But we know, and I'm sure that more than half of the people here could affirm that the washrooms, the empty meeting rooms, they have been our great witnesses to these moments. Us probably crying in the private rooms or probably looking into our reflection in the mirror and boosting our confidence. You can do it during moments of defeat. I know that had work, but I'd like to believe that it requires much more than that. Just as those were momentary boosts of morale. So I once talked to one of my employees before through the years who shared with me that the stress at work was very difficult and he found himself being affected mentally by it. How do you reset your mind during the weekend? I asked him. He said, I sleep. Don't get me wrong, I have no problem with sleeping. I do believe, however, that we may need more than just that for the power of a mental reset. As sleeping to me is considered physical reset, but not necessarily mental reset. So I asked him, when you're undergoing a breakup or a relationship problem, what do you usually do? And then he told me, I sleep. But he told me, I still feel the same. I still feel depressed. And I guess that's the point. Most of the time, this has to be an activity because it resets your mind to think about something else. And plus points if it's a physical activity because it gets to reset both your mind and your body. So disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist. All I'm saying are from my testimony. So, research though has confirmed that doing these things could definitely help us, help our bodies, help our mind to do a reset. So, and this is why this is very important to me. So, for the practical example, what I'd like to share was during that period of very challenging moment when I was thriving in my career. I also became, like as mentioned, no, the vice president of the CICP. That was happening very well, but at the other end, it was very emotionally difficult. So quietly, though, but surely, um, I was going into that journey of healing and reset. So what I did was I went into something that I parked before. I started to do a physical activity. I did tennis, which as mentioned earlier in the introduction. I would do it 2 to 3 times a week, both weekends included. So from there, I found a bigger network. I found a bigger community, which helped in the overall reset during the very difficult phase in my life. And now I am already able to actually do a lot with that. And from that activity, which became my seasonal mental reset, I eventually was able to use it also as weekend reset at work. When the week is very stressful, that weekend activity becomes my source of reset. So this is the same example that I gave to my employee. I told him that it's very important for you to find an activity that could boost your morale, that could boost your confidence, and that could reset the whole framing of your mind and thinking. It's very, very important. The way that we make use of our weekend will definitely give us a very good Monday welcome. Like you've come in there, you're very ready for more. And that's the reason why I'm a very, very big advocate on well spent weekends, not just on sleeping, but doing activities that recharges our mind and our bodies. So, just to end, I just want to speak to a lot of the women here. Why is this very, very important to me? Number one, my clear emphasis here is that the frequency is real. In the past 2 years, I mean, through the years, I would say in the past 20 years, I'm 34 by the way. I know very well that big things happen in every 2 to 3 years. Something that you do not expect. Suddenly something would happen, and knowing how to maintain your momentum is very, very important, especially to every woman here. We're all women who rule. And so knowing how to ensure that your momentum is protected is very, very important. Number two, this is underspoken. Like I mentioned earlier, not a lot of people would want to talk about this one. And so I'd like to be the representative of this. Since this is very beneficial to every woman, I'd like to really put an emphasis that this is very important as to everyone who's talking about all their successes, all the things that they thrive in, ensuring that that is um, continuously happening and growing and progressing is something that's very important to all women who rule and are about to rule. And lastly, this is how I want to be remembered. I don't want to define myself by my current role, by my achievements, by what I was able to build, produce, and found, what I direct. But I'd like to be remembered in terms of the level of my resiliency and grit. Oftentimes, these are things that are not being highlighted, and something in given that this is something that I just recently experienced, I speak from the heart in sharing this to women who probably don't have a lot of people to talk to in this area. And of course, in the way that I want to be remembered, not just in resiliency, not just in grit, but also in my level of faith. I do believe in what I was able to experience and I was able to get back up is also backed up by my faith and my belief that it was not just I that moved up from that fall, but also how the Lord helped me by His grace and by His mercy. And so for that, since I'm very, very confident that this was able to relate to a lot of women that are encountering something on their back seat. I'd like you to be empowered by what I just shared and how it is very, very important for us to all undergo mental resets when we encounter things like this. And for that, I'd like to thank GWWR for inviting me to share this, something new. I've never shared this before, so this is the first, but I know this is well appreciated by a lot of women. Thank you, everyone.